Okay, hi, my name's Mandu, and I'm here to talk about my experience with awakening and becoming self-realised, and how I got on the path of all of this over the previous years. It's actually been quite a long journey for me. I started out, first of all, I went to Catholic schools. My mother was Catholic, my father was Jewish. So I grew up in the household with a bit of religious ambivalence going on. My father converted to Catholicism when he married my mum, but he was still Jewish in his heart. He was forbidden to speak to me about any kind of Judaism, and I found as I got older I became more and more interested in it. So I suppose when parents are not forthcoming with certain things within the household, the child tends to act out, and I acted out by becoming heavily steeped in Kabbalah. I found it incredibly informative and beautiful, and I think I was 13 at the time when it kind of arose out of me getting my first pack of tarot cards when I was 13. My sister-in-law started reading them, and I'd go up there on a Saturday night and we'd read tarot cards, and we learnt how to do it and meditated on them and became proficient that way. And from there, the Kabbalistic symbolism was really fascinating. So that led into me becoming quite involved in Kabbalah, which was unusual because technically you're supposed to be a man, you're supposed to be married, and you're supposed to be over 40, and I didn't meet any of that criteria. So from there I moved on to, became interested in the Golden Dawn and Aleister Crowley, and became a white magician. I was still in my late teens. I also at that stage had met a friend of mine, a girl who was a Wiccan, and so I started doing Wiccan ritual as well as the white magic ritual, and we'd sort of mix them up a little bit. So learning all the correspondences, planetary correspondences, the names of God, of which the primary one, the head of the tree of life in Kabbalah, which is Ketha, is I am, or I am that I am. And that name of God is primary to pretty much all of the religions in one way or another, especially when you go into looking at enlightenment and you talk about I am presence and all of those things, and that's where the I am actually comes from. People kind of think that when they're meditating on the I am, that it's an egotistical thing. It's got nothing to do with the ego whatsoever. It's not the small I am. It's not like the I want a cookie, I want a pony, I want a new car. It's not that I. It's the big I am, which is Supreme Lord and Being. So this is prevalent in all religions that I've come across and studied in one form or another. After I went into the Kabbalah, I got married, had babies, became very interested in Buddhism, and I have pretty much been a Buddhist ever since. My first real epiphany came when I was in a very deep meditation, and I got into such a state of bliss that all I could say was I am, I am, I am, I am. And a friend of mine came and interrupted me because one of my kids was doing something, and I never quite got that back, but that's okay. That's okay. It's important to not be attached to those feelings, so that's fine. But that was a real awakening for me. My big awakening, I think, would be one day I think it just all hit me. I woke up one morning and just realised everything was a really big joke. Life was a big joke, the world was a big joke, and the Supreme Deity was having a really big joke. That there was no real reason for us to be here, there was no real purpose to life, it was just a matter of unfolding one step in front of the other, and it felt totally okay. I laughed for about an hour and then just kept laughing through the day. It was just, yeah, it was really good. And from that point on, various meditations and that have deepened that sense of coming out of the little self and realising that the personality that we put together is just a conglomeration of ideas, thoughts, feelings, interpretations, perceptions, notions. We might grab a little bit from somebody else and we like the way that person smiles, we like the way that person laughs, and we conglomerate different things that finally make up your persona. But when you look inwards and you look at it, and I was looking at myself going, well, where's the real cat? And the real cat was nowhere to be found. The real cat was totally empty. And all that remained was what was real, which is the I am. So when you drop everything, when you drop the mind and you just drop everything, you get a profound sense of peace. You get a profound sense of serenity. You know, you mightn't be blissed out all the time, that's fine. I don't get blissed out all the time, you know. Don't want to walk around like we've got a grin on our face, we'll get locked up and put in the loony bin. But there's a stillness that comes about you, a poise, I guess, and you still have to work through your mind because you've still got to do your day-to-day bits and bobs, go to work, run a family, go to the shops, talk to unenlightened people all the time. You've got to have your personality to a point, but it just doesn't become important anymore. It goes on the back burner. You use it when you need it and it goes on the back burner. It's not primary anymore. The things that you want, you need, they're not primary anymore, because when you're in the space, what Esther Hicks calls the vortex, there's many names for it, the presence. When you're in that space, things just fall in your lap, things just unfold. So you don't need to want anything, because you can think, well, I'd like to do this, and then all of a sudden you meet someone who's doing that and steering you in that direction, and before you know it, you're doing it, or you've got it, or you're on your way to it, or something. So I guess that's kind of where I've been at. I'm actually looking at starting teaching as of 2017, doing some retreats of my own. So if any of you are interested, you're more than welcome to join us. We're looking at maybe doing one in Romania mid-next year, and probably a couple of others as well. So what else can I tell you? Just remember that all your suffering and all your problems, everything that you go through is all your own mind, and it's all like a big web of catching all these thoughts and things that you haven't let go of or you haven't moved past. So when you're thinking a thought, look at it, don't react to it, and move on. It's when you react to it that it takes you off your direct route to source, and you start going, oh, what's over here? And you start going over here, then another thought leads to another thought, and then you get right off track. And you start reacting to things, and that cements that thought in, makes it harder to get rid of. So what Muji calls it is moving through the marketplace. So you're going through a sea of thoughts, you're thinking all these things. Let them come, just don't be attached to them. Just say, yes, that's interesting, okay, yep, Donald Trump's in as president, yep, that's interesting, move forward, and something else is happening, yep, okay. Don't form opinions on anything, don't solidify those thoughts, because then you get stuck. Then you don't move, your evolution suffers. You need to keep moving. From where you are, straightest route to source is just straight ahead. So eyes ahead, don't pick up any baggage along the way. Papaji says, move through the marketplace as if you've got diarrhea. I really like that analogy, as it means you just don't wait around to hang on to anything, and you just keep on going till you get to that enlightenment. And it's really important that people become enlightened, because, you know, you look around and we find, well, where are the Christs? Where are the Buddhas? You know, where are the avatars? They're you, they're in among you, and you're already there. You've just got to realise it. As soon as you realise it, you can start standing into your presence, living your life through your presence, and teaching others to do the same. And together we can lift the energies of the world and get us into the fifth dimension, or however you'd like to terminate that as well. It all depends on semantics. I like calling it the fifth dimension. There are other loads of dimensions out there. So to me, it's not really that relevant. I'd rather just get the elevator straight to the top floor without having to go through all these other dimensions and things as well. It just makes it longer and harder and more involved, and I like the simplest route. Personally, if you want to take a detour and have a look at things and integrate them into your spiritual journey, then feel free. There's no right or wrong way of getting there. But I will say that it has taken me the best part of 30 years to get where I am, and a lot of that time was probably wasted. I did go through a big dark night of the soul for about 3 years, and my partner ended up leaving me because of that, because he didn't understand what was going on. But in order for me to go through that and examine what evil was, I now realise that evil does not exist, and have integrated that into my reality. So evil is just a misqualification of energy. It's not innately, nothing is innately evil at all. I mean, if you take Martin Bryant, who shot 28 people in Tasmania in a cafe 15 years ago or something. People were saying that he's evil, you know, it's evil, lock him up, he's a psychopath. But you take an American soldier in Iraq that kills 28 people, he gets a Medal of Honor. So the action itself isn't evil, it's what you put on it, what society puts on it, how you're meant to perceive it or how you choose to perceive it. So evil is not innately inherent, it's how we perceive things and our energies that we project onto things and society. So in summing up, drop your mind, drop your perceptions, your thoughts, your ideas, your beliefs, drop everything and just sit in the big you, the I am, the space, the peace, the serenity, and just be. Just sit in your beingness and just cement that and meditate as much as you can. And then when you've achieved that, go out and help others and teach them to help others, and let's exponentially lift the energy of the planet. Om Shanti.